don't know if y'all saw that Harvey Weinstein's conviction in New York got overturned. Yeah, no, it's shocking. It's not just like clear that he did it more than people that do it. Do you know what I mean? That's why he's an outlier. He literally has stats. You know? And I don't know. It's like you see him, and then you see like Cosby being out and everything, like fully out. Like he's like out. You know. And it does just feel like if women want accountability for men like this, you can't just depend on the justice system, you know? You're gonna have to start probably killing. I really don't see any other way. Like, I'm like, I have a vested interest in you not killing. I'm a man. But still, I don't know. It just seems like there's no way around it. You know what I mean? Like, and honestly, if you did start killing, right? If you started killing a lot of the bad ones, then you could probably believe us when we say we're the good ones. Like, I'm alive. Isn't that proof? None of the women have killed me. You might have a gash on the arm or something, but that's just, had to keep you in line. No. I think you're probably gonna have to do it. I really don't see any other way. Because people talk about patriarchy and everything, and sure, I understand, but you also have to remember that, like, as men, we're not all friends. I'm also scared of dangerous men. You know what I mean? And it's because they kill. So then if y'all kill too, that's really the only way to equality. You know what I mean? Like, that's... in a sad but, like, poetic way, that's... Because even if y'all started killing indiscriminately, you couldn't do worse than men. So just kill a little... Like, okay. I feel like y'all aren't rolling with what I'm saying. And that's fine. This is a new idea for me too, okay? But I'm saying I thought about it a lot. You know? Like, if I had a daughter, I'd buy her a knife. Maybe a gun, but definitely a knife. Because a knife, you can think about it. You know what I mean? Guns are too easy to be like, oops. You know, much harder to miss with a knife. You meant to poke who you poked, you know? I don't know. Because I think that as I say this, it sounds crazy, obviously, and that's good because it means that you're all, like, productive members of society and stuff. But, like, but when you really think about it, that's the score, right? Like alpha things are usually just being the most dangerous person around. That's why when they tell you when you go to jail, find the biggest dude and punch him in the nose like a shark or whatever they say. But, like, that's why they say that, because it's like that fear instills a calm, and the calm is safety. You know, like dangerous men are also scared, which is why they puff out their chests and act dangerous to get people off of them, you know? But if women started killing, we'd all be a little bit, you know what I mean? Like, there'd still be catcalls, they'd just be quieter. Do you know what I mean? Like, you pass by, but then they see that you brandish it, right? They see you pack it, and you packing low, like you got a sawed-off shotgun, just out in the open. They're like, that ass. That was him. I don't know, baby. Because I hear these stories, and they're horrible. Like, I have friends tell me about how they've put keys in between their fingers at night as they're walking to their car, you know? And I'm like, yeah, but if you do my thing. Y'all acting like I'm being unreasonable and I'm trying to help. I've read a lot of history books. I'm just telling you what's gonna work. I'm just saying, level the playing field of general fear, and in a weird way, it might be a better world. Maybe it could work, like if you do it for long enough, it changes whole attitudes of like an entire culture of everyone, because then they'll be like, yeah, she might kill, like who knows, she might be a crazy one that kills, But let's say the word is out that women kill now, and they kill as much as men, right? Now when you go in your boss's office and you close the door behind you and you ask for a raise, who knows? Maybe you kill. Or even just, if the word gets around that women are really out here killing indiscriminately, crazy stuff, right? Because the way women do kill, I want to be clear about that. Women kill a lot, actually. They just do it to like people who they know, who they think deserve it. I'm talking about like killing across the board. Killing because you upset, you know what I mean? If the word got out that women are just out here killing, I think you would hear like a pack of guys, right? A pack of guys is usually what women are afraid of. 4 or 5 guys drunk walking down the street together, right? I've had my friends tell me that that's terrifying to them. Just whether it's going to be catcalls, whether it's going to be like cornering them, whether it's going to be something much, much worse, right? And it's because of the way that men are. It's because men kill. There are men that do horrible things. I'm not saying that women don't, but just by the numbers, So if word got out that women kill, you'd see those 4 or 5 guys drunk, walking around, singing their song, la, 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 right? But then they would hear the click of stilettos. They look at each other like, bro, run! It could work. I'll leave it alone, but also, I don't know, consider it. I was stranded one time in Austin. And when I say stranded, I mean like my flight was so delayed that I got to Austin and the airport was like closed, you know what I mean? And I was so hungry, but obviously every other thing was closed. And Austin didn't have the boom that it had now, right? Like Austin wasn't this like bustling place that everyone moved to post-pandemic. Like it was just regular Austin, the way that the locals used to like it, you know what I mean? Before the money came. And there was no food. And so I was trying to like Uber Eats and like nothing was open. It was crazy to the point where I don't know why I did it, but I just left the hotel room and started walking. I was like, maybe I can just find something on foot, right? And I went down 6th Street and like 6th Street was closed. That's their Vegas. That strip of 6th Street is like everything's happening at some point, right? But it was so late that it was early, you know what I mean? And so I was walking, and finally I passed this taco truck, and I was so excited. I was like, yes, finally, food. Because this is now an hour and a half, at least, after I got to the hotel, which is at least 40 minutes after I landed. So I've been hungry for a day. And I run up to the taco truck, and I see that there's bricks on either side of the taco truck, and then I realize that this taco truck is in an alley. I don't know if you've ever had alley food before, but it feels illegal when you ordering it, because you're like, why aren't you out? Do you know what I mean? Because I don't even know if I can describe this efficiently or no. The taco truck was basically just like, hey. It wasn't even jutted out or anything. It's literally like in the alley, like, hey, we got tacos. If you hungry. And there's not much space in the alley either. Like, I'm leaning up against brick, trying to be like, yeah, let me get a carne asada. I order these tacos. I eat them, and they taste different than I've ever. They're different in flavor than I've ever had before. These are truly alley tacos. I found out what that meant with them. And maybe I wouldn't have even noticed if the packaging had been different. Maybe if I wouldn't have even noticed if this was a parking lot. I'd be like, all right, they're a little dry, but whatever. The fact that it was in an alley, though, I was like, no, I'ma die. I got a cactus taco. I remember this like it was yesterday. I got a cactus taco. I got, what was it? I got all vegetarian stuff. I got a cactus, I got a mushroom, and I got this like fried, I guess a fried mushroom as well. And so it was like cactus, regular mushroom, fried mushroom. And I ate all three tacos, and they very much taste like the middle of two buildings. And like even as I was eating it, I was like, this flavor is floor. This is crazy. If I had eaten even 24 hours ago, I would not be eating this right now. But I was like, and I ate it, and I walked back to my hotel, and I laid down. And as soon as I laid down, my stomach was like, don't fall asleep. No, we gonna be up tonight. The worst part is that I had like a roommate in my hotel room because I was there for a festival. So I had a roommate in my hotel room who had got in the day before, so he didn't have any of these problems, right? He's like trying to sleep, and my stomach keeping us both awake. Every time he sort of dozes off, my stomach is snoring, right? And I got so sick. And it was a type of sick where you're not even like throwing up or anything. I was just sitting there sick, right? And I really thought I was gonna die because I started sweating. I was like, that shouldn't happen. It's not hot in here. That cannot be pouring sweat out of my body right now. I clearly ate poison. And he's like, where'd you eat this taco? I was like, it was in an alley. He's like, you ate alley food? He said it like it was a thing he knew about. Like alley food was just part of life. I was like, I didn't know it was alley food until I was in the alley. Don't judge me. I haven't eaten in 36 hours. And then I was just sweating to the point where I thought about going to the hospital. But I didn't out of embarrassment. I was like, I don't want to go to the hospital now and be like, yeah, I think I had some bad tacos. They're like, where'd you eat? I'm like, oh, in an alley. And because I'm not going to lie, at that point, I feel like the hospital going to turn you away. Like, I feel like, no, we not saving him. We only take care of people who don't deserve what happened to them. And so I was sitting there. I was really like pouring sweat, feeling so sick, wishing I was gonna throw. Like you almost pray for it. And I was just sitting there, and I turned to my buddy, who's very annoyed with me, because I'm not proud of it. But after a little while, like after the first hour of stomach rumbling, I did start moaning, and and both of us hated that. Like my stomach was like, brr, and then I was like, oh. It was like I was crying, but no tears were coming out. And so I turned to him, I was like, I think I'm gonna die. And under his breath, he's like, just please do it soon. Like, whatever you're gonna do. Please, just get it out of the way. And I told him, I was like, if I get sick tonight and I die, if anybody asks what happened, tell them I got shot. Like,
You seen your headline on The Daily Show. You see them all over YouTube. I want you to put your hands together. Put your hands together. Put your hands together. Give it up for Josh Johnson.
I've been in Honolulu for a week, and I have been dressed like this the whole time. In case you were wondering, yeah, this is what I wear all the time. There were people who, recognized me on the street, said, hey, and then there were people who didn't recognize me at all and said, hey, are you all right? Like, something going on? Aren't you hot? And, yeah. But it's been beautiful. It's been amazing to just walk around, see everything, meet people. Man, y'all are very chill. Like, I know it's a stereotype, but it's also happening, and it is just coming from someone who lives in New York. It is genuinely jarring. It's like, this is wild. Y'all even know this is. Everybody's so chill, which I understand. It's a beautiful place. This is an incredible place. It truly is. You're still on planet Earth, though. So, like, do you know what I mean? Like, a little disrespectful to not be freaking out a touch more. Yeah, I mean, it's charming, but only to a point. It's genuine. Y'all live, even here is so beautiful, but also this is dangerous too. Y'all don't seem bothered at all. This is active volcanoes. There are active volcanoes, actors, the ones that do it, the ones that volcane are here. And y'all are like, do you want to go see it? Because it might do it. Wouldn't that be crazy if it did it while we were there and then we saw it do it? Yeah, it would be crazy. It would be insane. No, I think I'm good. I think I'm good watching from the comfort of my TV. It's like, no, you gotta go to witness. It's like, you don't have to be a witness to everything. Sometimes you could just hear a story and it's fine. Active volcanoes. No one's bothered. No one, wow. I've been places where nothing was gonna happen and they were freaking out more. Do you know what I mean? Like, I have friends in San Francisco. And those friends in San Francisco are like, any day now, we could slip into the ocean. We could just break off. We just snap like a Twix. We could just. All right, I mean, if you really thought that, why are you paying a mortgage? That's a little wild, right? That you think you're gonna slip into the ocean, but also, you gotta do something. No, it blows my mind. No, it's been so cool to be here. I had no idea what it would be like to see this many roosters roam free. Look, you're gonna have to be patient with me, all right? Because I didn't know. There's a lot I didn't know. This trip has been teaching me a lot I didn't know. I didn't know most things. So I I get here and I see a rooster, but I'm like, oh, he probably got loose. Like that's. I hope somebody find their rooster. I'm like, oh, because I hate to see, you know what I mean? Like I hate to see like a lost pet or animal companion just out in the wild like that. And it was walking on pavement like it owned it. And then I heard like a rooster, and it wasn't. I really thought, this is how you know I grew up on cartoons. I really thought they only made noise like in the morning. I was positive that was like the nature's alarm clock. I didn't know they were like dogs and they could just go whenever they wanted. So now I'm waking up and like, I'm not saying I hear a rooster every time I wake up. I'm just saying like I wake up and because of the jet lag, I live in New York. So because of the jet lag, I'm waking up earlier, just naturally than I would otherwise. And so I'm waking up and then you might hear a rooster at the time that I wake up because it's very early. Like the sun is not out yet, right? And then the sun is out. And then I'm walking around and I hear a rooster again and I'm like, that can't be right. I'm positive that's not right because I know it's been all day today. And far be it from me, like whenever an animal is very good at something, I try to just trust that. Like I understand the groundhog thing, we kind of made that up, that's not exactly right, but I still check to see what the groundhog said, right? Because people used to go off of it. Now with the roosters seem completely unreliable. I understand this is the rooster's whole thing, but I will go ahead and start looking for myself. And the way that y'all just don't even acknowledge them, I felt like I was on drugs. I was looking around at the roosters and I was like, all right, so nobody gonna come get. You try to call animal control of the roosters and they hang up. This is very upsetting. Why would you? I didn't know roosters were like rabbits. Like maybe if you just let two roosters hang out for too long, you get 8 roosters and then 16 and then 64. And then no matter where you go, there's a rooster doing, I guess nothing. I don't know what they do. 5 o'clock, I heard a rooster and I was like, oh, poor baby. He gotta be blind. That's what I said. No, don't do that. That's him guessing. He guessing right now. And then I realized I was completely off base. They don't just stop making noise because of the time of day. Wow. You learn something every day you should already know. That's deeply embarrassing. It's been beautiful. It's so beautiful, and everybody is so like laid back. Not every single person, but like as a general state is laid back. The people who I see freaking out, the people who I really see freak out are not from here. You know what I mean? Like the people. There are a lot of people. Like you could tell. You could tell who's like from here and not from here also by how there's a look. There's a look in the eyes of a person who like when somebody just got here, they seem like they could be from here because they're so excited to be here. When somebody just got here, they're like, oh wow. And once again, just outside looking in, y'all do that too. Like y'all do have the locals I've met have been like, man, what a day. last day hits, it's time to go home, and you can tell it's a different look on their face. Their eyes different, because they finally got the bill from whatever. The same mannerisms too, just like. Oh, but it's been beautiful to just walk around and see so many people that know how to swim. That is. Swimming. Okay, swimming for me has been trial and error. It's been a trial of errors. And it's like whenever people are like, people don't want to believe that I don't fully believe that I can swim. I'll talk to people and they'll be like, yeah, but you could like swim to save your life though, right? And I'm like, I don't want to find out. I feel like that's one of the main reasons I stay on land is because I'm not sure. What a test. What a test. What a test to fail. And then now you know. Now I know. Now I know I can't swim. That's a crazy thing. But you could swim to save your life, right? Isn't that swimming? Isn't that the whole swimming? Whether you're swimming for fun or you're swimming to save your life, aren't you still the same amount of upright over the water? That's a crazy thing to ask somebody. Imagine somebody's on crutches. Someone's on crutches and you're like, yeah, but you can like run to save your life, right? And it's like, maybe. Why would I want to find that out though? Why would I put myself in a running situation? Why would I, on crutches, walk up and slap a bigger man than me? Just to see if maybe, who knows? It might be like having 3 legs, having these crutches, and being on 1 foot. And then you see people surfing. I love watching people surf at home. When I'm at home, I'll watch any surf documentary. I love surfers. I think it's so cool. I love watching them do tricks. I love watching it. You could just be regular swim. One of the things I've had in the background before is just like a beachy waves, like looping video for hours, and it was people just like, whether they were swimming or surfing, they were all just around each other in the water. I personally, this is just a me thing, this is not a reflection on anybody else, I cannot watch it, I can't, if I'm at the beach and I'm watching people surf, I'm like, how are they not running over every head they come across? Like when you're watching on TV and the camera is just on them, you're like, look at how coordinated they are. They're so cool. Look at them move. Man, I wish my hips moved like that. But then when you're watching and you're like, well, there's somebody's head. Oh, they missed. Okay. I watched my friends. One time I went to a beach with my friends. My friends went swimming and they came back and they were like, you sure you don't want to get in? And I was like, you keep asking me if I could swim to save my life, but then also ask me if I want to get in. I think I'm good. I'm good on the beach right here where it's level, where if I drown, it's my fault. But you're over there having a great time swimming. Yay, backstroke, everything. You didn't even see. There was a dude surfing around. You almost died 3 times. I saw it. He almost ran you right over. I don't even know how that would work. It doesn't even, like, here's the thing. I don't know how surfing works. You're about to find that out. But it doesn't even seem that bad if you got like ran over by a surfboard in the water that was past you until you get to those 3 teeth in the back. Like that seems like it would hurt. Like, because I'm not saying the board's gonna hit them in the head. I'm just saying they're like coming up at the same time as somebody's passing and everyone is so fluid with it. That's stressful. I know it's a gorgeous dance, but I'm watching this dude, just one twist of his ankle, he could have taken out 2 people right there. So you see the big waves that people surf on, right? Those huge waves that people surf on, and then they're coming down from the wave. I don't know why. Maybe I was never paying attention in the movies or in the competitions I'd watch on TV, but there's people in there. That's crazy. Why isn't that a sport? That seems like it should be a sport to get in the middle of the wave and not drown. You'll see these big waves, and then there's people surfing the wave, and then there's just a guy in the middle like, did he even mean to get in? That's too much going with the flow. I'm already worried about flat water. If I got caught in a wave, I can't even fathom. If I got caught in a wave and started shooting up, I already can't swim. I can't also drown up. Imagine, 10-foot wave, you inside. Which way do you swim when you're up? If you're in the wave, if you're here, where are you supposed to go? You're not even caught in like an undertow getting sucked down. You are about to shoot up in the air. Maybe. I don't know. I don't know how it works. Oh, I'd be so embarrassed if I drown up. I don't even know if they let you into heaven, because you would be explaining like, listen, I was in the water, all right? But then there was really sick wave. There was a guy on it, crushing it. But I was in the middle, and I was real high up in the air. I could actually see that I was like above land. But there was too much water in front of my face for me to take a breath. Maybe, if I had been snorkeling, I would have had that stick, and I could have leaned out and sucked some air. But alas, I was regular swimming. You can tell I'm not from here because I'll go to the beach and I'm not having a beachy time like everybody else. I go to the beach, I don't get in the water. That already probably looks suspicious. That looks like I'm just there to watch, which is, people watching at the beach is like sweet unless you're doing nothing. If you also went to swim and now you're like, look at everybody having a good time, you know what I mean? Or if you were like building a sandcastle and then you're like, look at everybody, oh, it's so beautiful and everything. Or if you were surfing and then you take a break, look at everybody. But when you're me and you just went to go, and you just standing on the beach dressed like this, I'm sure I look like a ghost from something. I'm sure. I probably look like the ghost to somebody out there surfing of like a hit and run they did or something. Just because I don't know anybody out there, so it's not like I'm waving. I'm just. No. I go to the beach exactly dressed like this and it makes everybody uncomfortable. I'm sure they think I'm the police. I'm positive. This one time I went to the beach and I was just walking. I was truly minding my own business. I even stepped out of my comfort zone. I even took the shoes and socks off. I know you thought that I was doing that already, and I was not. No, when I say dress like this, I mean fully. I mean like head to toe like this. And so I had taken my shoes and my socks off. I was walking, feeling the sand under my feet. I was like, man, I get what people are, wow. This is nice. This is as nice as they say. This is beautiful. It's all happening, right? And then as I take a step, all right, this wasn't my fault. This was not. You gonna judge me? And that's fine. I've accepted I'm gonna be judged, but this is not my fault. Okay, I'm walking, right? And then I feel something, okay? I feel something, and it's not like glass. I didn't cut my foot. That would have been better. I was walking, and I feel something. I take a step, and I feel something, and I realize I can't take another step. I feel it around my ankle, and I can't take another step. And somebody had buried themselves in the sand and then grabbed my ankle, right? And grabbed my ankle, right? And so grabbed it good too. Like this is crazy. This is the most Mad Max thing I've ever seen in my life. Already buried in the sand, but then grabbed my ankle, and I turn around and I see a hand and nothing else. And so I'm like, ha, ha, ha! I scream, right? I scream, okay? And so I'm walking, grab my ankle, I stop, I look, I scream. All this very reasonable so far, right? All of this is on the other person. Okay, so then I try to pull away. I can't because no quad strength, I don't know. But like I can't pull away like I want to. And so then as I try to pull away, I try to pull away twice, and this is still out of panic. I still don't even know what's happening really. I just know that there's a hand around my ankle and there's nothing else, right? And then I finally turn around and see the hand and keep screaming. So I have screamed for too long now, right? Like I should have processed what was happening. So then, out of fear, I start stomping the hand off my other foot, right? So it's right here, and I'm right. So I stomp a while. Now, to be fair to me, they did hold on, all right? So then I'm stomping. Then they sit up, right? They did sit up, which should have clued me into exactly what was happening, but in the moment only did terrify me more. So then I went from stomping the hand, and I did kick them in the head, okay? I did kick them in the head, and then I ran, right? And I ran, and while I was running, it was when I was processing, like, oh, okay, probably not a zombie. A zombie's hand wouldn't have had more body attached to it. A zombie probably wouldn't have sat up and been a whole person that I kicked. Also wild to do to a stranger. If it had been my friend, they still would have got their hand stomped, right? That was anybody. But then when they sat up and I was like, more? No. So I like the beach. I like it for all of you. I like the beach for everyone who likes going to the beach. And I'll go to the beach and I'll watch you have fun, but that's where it ends for me. Never taking my shoes off again at the beach. Yeah, people are like, but you'll get sand in your shoes. Yeah. Or I could take them off and get hands on my feet. What would you rather? If someone truly came to you and they were like, listen, you could have one random claw on your ankle and foot, or you could have some sand in your shoe. I think you take the sand every time. No. Oof. I got friends that love to swim, and I'm happy for them. I'm very happy for it. It looks fun when they do it. Sometimes they'll go snorkeling. That's when you almost drown, kind of. I don't even fully understand snorkeling because you got the tube. But you're not sucking any air. It's not scuba diving. You got the tube, but then what's the tube for? Because you're just gonna exhale. You could have just done that through your mouth. I don't know how to do it. I'm sure I'm wrong. I'm positive I'm wrong, but I'm saying when I saw it, when they went under, I was like, you don't need that around your mouth. I hope you don't suck in, because that's gonna be water. wild that maybe you don't want any bubbles in your face? Is that why you brought the thing down to up the side? Are you trying to convince the fish you're a fish? Is that the plan? No, if they see me breathing out of my mouth all human-like, they'll swim away. I want them to like me. I got friends that'll go scuba dive. Scuba diving looks very fun. That's when you like try to drown. That's when you're like, I bet I can get lower. I bet I can get so low that even the water pressure is kind of affecting me. I didn't even know this. People who go that deep scuba dive, like people who do the real deep stuff that look like it's from Mission Impossible. You know that stuff that's like an action movie where they're like, you're gonna have to go deeper than anyone's gone before to see this particular fish. And they go down that deep and then they come up, then they gotta get in like a tank so that they don't explode. I don't know how some people create a definition of fun. I've never been almost about to explode ever. And I've had a pretty great life. The idea you would go down so deep that now you had a tank. Tank was on you. Then you went down. Now you come back up and they're like, you need to get in a tank immediately. Which I believe, these people are experts, but in my head I'm like, but if they came up, aren't they good? Like, you would think, I don't know, it's like you're already up here. So just don't take a deep breath, I guess. Just do some little ones. But then they gotta get in a tank so that they level out, so that they can walk around again in not the ocean. Scuba diving just seems wild to me. Because then you got the tank. And then they tell you how much air is in the tank. And you just gotta believe them. Nobody's ever been wrong. A tank's never been, because they'll be like, no, it's also on the tank. And I'm like, yeah, but like, you ever in a car? And it says it's not on E. But then it does stop. And you're like, oh, this needle isn't as precise as I thought it was. Which is upsetting for a needle. You would think as soon as it hits, because some people, I've been in some people's cars, especially those old cars too, where like the needle hitting the E, I would even say it. I'd be like driving with my dad, right? My dad would be picking me up from school or something, and I'd be like, oh, it's on E, just so you know. And he's like, no, we good. And I would say, Father, I know I'm 7, but from what I've heard, I know I'm not a driver. I'm not a driver. From what I've heard, E means empty. It looks like we're very close to empty and we're not already at home. No, we're good. It's gotta go past the needle to really be out. Just because it's touching the E doesn't mean we're at E. It gotta go past the E, and then that's E. And I'm like, oh, then why didn't they put the E there? Seems odd that they put the E nowhere near where the E is. It's like, that's just the way cars made, son. I was like, Dad, look. I know I'm little, but I can handle it. You can tell me right now if we're poor, all right? That logic doesn't make sense at all. No, it's on E, but it's like not on E. I'm like, what are you saving up for? Because, you see people, I'm sure, y'all see people all over, Midwest, Northeast, the South, the western parts of the country, all these people. Freaking out. Freaking out. And not without reason. You saw leading up to the election, eggs are $12? We had no idea. We had no idea. For everything that we complain about, things are like twice as expensive for y'all. How are y'all not complaining every day? I can't believe that doesn't make you angry to see someone from Indianapolis be like, the apple juice was $6 before and it's $8 today. That doesn't seem fair or right. Meanwhile, here it's $22. And not only is it $22, there's one jug. Like even when you got the money, you gotta make sure you get there first. And still, how? And still, y'all are like, with enough time, with enough patience, with enough elbow grease, you'll make your own apple juice. You just gotta... Sometimes when I'm upset, sometimes when life is getting me down, something really grinds my gears, I just try to take it out and try to exercise it in a productive way, you know what I mean? So whenever I'm really angry, I'll get something and I'll just like grind something down, right? And just grind it down over and over again. And then I started to do that with the apples, and then I made apple juice, and now I'm fine. What? No, it's wild. It's wild. Yeah, this is wow. I know I'm still on planet Earth, but whoa. You know what I mean? It does feel like, and I'm really not saying this in a way that is just trying to like butter you up or anything, but this does feel like a different dimension, because the 7-Eleven is like nice. You need to understand. Like, even though you're clapping and you're cheering, I don't even think you understand what you're clapping and cheering for. The 7-Eleven being nice. The 7-Eleven being nice is like... it's like if you turned the AR-15 into bubbles. It's like, what? First of all, how? And second, this is not what this is supposed to do. This is just 7-Eleven. I can tell you right now, in every other part of America, the back of 7-Eleven specifically is for drug use. And look, maybe that's happening here and everybody just has a real good attitude about it. I have no idea. But the 7-Eleven in New York, okay, so look, the 7-Eleven in New York, this is just an example of how bad it can get, right? There are some places where people who are in any way sort of down on their luck, truly unfortunate, truly having like a rough go of everything, will try to find some way. They need some money. They need something, right? And so they will hang out outside of 7-Eleven. And one of the things that some people do, especially in New York, is they will hold the door open for you when you go in. They'll open the door for you when you walk out, right? All in the hope that maybe if you have spare change or if you could get them something, that you will give them something for that thing. Let me try to do you this small service in return for something, right? Because they don't have anything, you know? And that's something that's like common practice in New York at plenty of places. And the 7-Eleven that I went into in New York, I saw a guy, he was standing in front of the door. He had his hand on the door handle. And I like nodded at him. I was like, hey, how's it going? And then I went to walk into the 7-Eleven and I hit the door. I hit the door because this man wasn't opening it for people. He was charging people to get in. which is frankly a better business model. That is pretty good. No, you go into a 7-Eleven. You go into a 7-Eleven in New York City. Let's say they just mopped. Let's say the best of circumstances, they just mopped, right? There's a wet floor sign, but what's that gonna do? What's that really gonna do? They just put those out so they don't get sued. What is that really meant to do? It's a wet floor sign over there. I walked in, it's wet right here. And if you fall, if you slip in a 7-Eleven, if you slip in a 7-Eleven in New York City, you have to burn whatever part of you fell. Because I know they mopped, but they didn't mop to clean it. They mopped to move around whatever was the reason for mopping in the first place. So if you walk in and you see that wet floor sign all the way over there, and you don't know that means the entire floor, everything in here is wet now, and you walk, whoa, and then you slip, and then you fall on your back, you will want to die. Walk into a 7-Eleven here. People smile. I know this is common for you. I know that you don't understand what the difference is. I want you to imagine, goodness forbid, but let's imagine that you went to jail. And when you got there, everybody smiled. Based on your understanding of jail, that would make you more comfortable. Based on what you think about jail, if you walked in and everybody smiled at you specifically, you would think, uh-oh. And so forgive me if being conditioned by New York City 7-Elevens, walking into a 7-Eleven here and seeing people smile, I don't return it right away. I'm shocked, I'm suspicious. If you walk into a 7-Eleven in New York and everyone is smiling at you, that 7-Eleven is being robbed right now. These are not sincere smiles. These are the smiles of people who don't want to be shot. This is smiles. You walk into a 7-Eleven in New York and they're smiling at you, you run. You run, because there's not, it's a, no, people smile at you at 7-Eleven and they aren't even saying anything through their teeth. It's a genuine smile, it's a silent. And they say welcome and say hello. A smile at a 7-Eleven in New York. Call somebody. It's one with a gun. But I think the other two in on it. Hurry. Not just a nice 7-Eleven with nice people. You got different stuff, which is unfair. You got whole flavors. You got whole flavors I can't pronounce. You go into a 7-Eleven here, and you gotta understand. I've only been to the 7-Elevens I've been to, so. Sorry that I'm uncultured. Everything at the 7-Eleven I'm used to is not like this. You get in there and you get the what is this? Hoapia? Hopia? Hopia. Howpia. We go to a 7-Eleven and you get a Howpia Slurpee. I saw the letters. And I was like, how we haul. I didn't even say it right just now. Get the Leehing. These are flavors I'm not used to. I didn't know these flavors had come out. I'm used to going to 7-Eleven and getting some of the most dystopian Mountain Dew type flavors you've ever heard in your life. Just a color to a thing that doesn't exist the way that it says in the flavor. You go to 7-Eleven in New York, you get like a, I don't know, black elephant Slurpee or something like that. Just something that just sound wrong. Whole time you pulling it, the machine doesn't even want to let it out right away. You pull that thing and the machine is like, And then after a while, you hold it open long enough and the thing is spinning. Finally, the machine is like, if you insist. And when it hit the cup, it doesn't sound right. When they hit the cup, you're like, something hard inside, something soft. I know sounds. This is not all liquid. Not even all ice. Something, then y'all can put 3 rocks and 4 paper clips in here. I can tell from the way it's falling, because it falls with no integrity. It falls with no real consistency at all. How? McDonald's is good here. How'd you pull that off? Same company. This is the same, it's one company. That's crazy. That's crazy they would bring all the good McDonald's here and they would make us eat slop everywhere else. McDonald's in New York City is where you do heroin. I don't mean the back like a 7-Eleven. I mean in the restaurant portion of the McDonald's. I mean you order your Big Mac and then you sit down at your table to do your heroin. The Big Mac is just a formality. It was crazy. I was in New York. I was going to a McDonald's, not by choice. My girlfriend wanted to go to McDonald's, and so we went into a McDonald's, and all she ordered was an ice cream cone, one ice cream cone, one cone with ice cream on it. You would think that there's no way the devil could get involved. It's one ice cream cone. It's ice cream. It's ice cream with a cone. It's simple. We've seen it 1,000,000 times. It's not revolutionary. And they handed her ice cream with a cone. And before she could even take a bite, she felt something. And she turned the cone, and there was a Band-Aid. Unless we're having a nightmare, how? Do you just have them in the back ready to go? in case anybody thought they were gonna enjoy McDonald's in New York City. This is crazy. I just wanna let y'all know the planet y'all live on. Cause nothing seems to get to y'all. Not like fundamentally, not like real. I'm stressed out for y'all sometimes. I don't even live here, but I remember 2017. I remember in 2017 when that fake missile thing. I remember. How is this still a place? How is it? If that had happened in New York City, real estate prices would have dropped because we'd all be dead. Everyone would have. That's crazy. Imagine what was even said in those moments. You get that text, you finally turn to your spouse, and you're like, it really hadn't been right between us for a long time. And I want to get that out there because I don't want to die with anything on my heart. And then 15 minutes later, you sitting there, look, everybody said stuff. Everybody said something that they meant but didn't mean if we were gonna live. How? Wow. I can't imagine getting that message at work. You at work. You might not even like it here. You at work, and then you get the false alarm. You get the, hey, no, you're actually good. Hey, somebody pressed the wrong button. Everything. That blows that's how I can tell y'all are actually really good people. The fact that thing happened and so many bosses went unpunched. Y'all thought you were gonna die. And nobody punched their boss right in the nose. Nobody, this is it. This is it. Because the other message didn't go out right away. People thought they were gonna die for like 8 minutes or something. And that's if you looked again. That's like if you checked. You know, some people reacted the way I would react. There were some people that like found, manhole cover, jumped in, everything. All right, okay, yeah, you jumped in. There's some sewage, it's stinky, but you would have lived. You would have, you know what I mean? You would have lived. Then there's other people that, wow. I'm not judging, but truly no initiative. Like, truly, I heard stories from people that were like, yeah, it went off and I just finished my TV dinner. And, you just kept eating the TV dinner that you weren't enjoying. They were like, yeah, I'd rather die full. And then the fact that like there wasn't like a riot. The fact that there wasn't a riot over the person who pressed the message went out, hey, sorry, we pressed the wrong button. And then as a state, y'all were like, stuff happens. It's not like that big a deal. I don't know why everybody's stressing out. Yeah, buttons are confusing. Sometimes I press the wrong button. It's not that big of a deal. It'll be fine. It'll be fine. I just have to call a divorce lawyer and he's gonna hold everybody to what they said while That's just not me. That's not me at all. I was in an elevator for too long one time. I told a stranger, I was like, listen, I want you to call this number. This is my mama, all right? In case I don't make it out, I want you to... We were stuck between floors 1 and 2. Who knows though? That drop could have shook me up. No, but I'm amazed. I think, man, I look around and I'm just blown away. You know, there's something very special about being here, which is a reminder that obviously there's more of a commercial presence than there was probably 10 years ago, especially more than there was 30 years ago and everything. But really, when you get here, everything that is so beautiful about being here just requires nothing. It just requires you to be present. There's no, when you look around, there's no amount of money that makes this thing happen. This is just what we've already been given, you know? And especially when you see it in people who appreciate it, it's a reminder that money can buy a comfortable life. It can't buy a good one. You know, I look around. I look around and I try to watch as best as I can and try to be observant. So I know that there's problems and there's people who are struggling and everything, but everything that makes this place special, everything that makes the people special, everything that makes the experiences here unique are things that cannot be bought under any circumstance. You could pay for a nice room somewhere. You could pay for a private cabana. You could do all that stuff, but the actual sunset, the actual sunrise, the people that you meet if you go out and you talk to people, the sort of way of thinking that entire lifestyle, it costs nothing. It only requires that you be here, that you be present for it, you know? Every beautiful thing, every unconventional thing, it's there's nothing you can take away from it. No matter how much money you acquire, there's nothing that can prepare you for the natural beauty, not just of a place, but of a people and all the things that surprise you when you're really present somewhere, you know? The fact that the rooster's just gonna go whenever. It's that's insane. That's insane, because I think people come here and they think that it works the way it works in other places. There are places you can go all over the US. There are places you can go all over the world where that place is as good to be in as the amount of money you have. You know, you can travel all around the world and I can show you a terrible time in a city. I can show you a great time in the city based on what you can afford, right? And then you come here and it's already here. That blows my mind, you know? That's why I think so many people come here and so many people come here with a sort of expectation because maybe they've already spent the money. Maybe they've already dropped crazy money to have a true, beautiful Hawaiian experience. They're gonna have their minds blown. They're gonna see so many beautiful sights and everything. And then they get here and they see how much of it was just already here. It's just in the people. It's just in the routes you take to get somewhere. It's just in noticing, you know? And then they leave. And that's why when they leave, they're like, oh, I could have done this oh no. What did I do?
Please make it loud for Josh Johnson!
When I was growing up, I would hear these stories of people who were really in the life, you know? They were doing bad things. They were this is bad. Probably gonna go to jail. And I heard this story one time, this dude, everybody got locked up, but there was this trap house,
In case you're not aware, a trap house is where illicit materials are sold. Sometimes you might say trap house, or there might be someone who's like, so booby traps? Like, is it the trap door situation? Like when you walk in, watch out for the wire, you're gonna fall down to the basement? No, I mean drugs. I mean, the buying and selling of drugs. And so this trap house was known for being pretty busy. It had become so busy that they had bought some property, several blocks away, and opened up another trap house. Business was booming. Things are going very well. Whenever you are selling so many drugs that you have to buy property, we are entering documentary territory. Most trap houses are really just dudes playing video games until somebody knocks on the door. Like, it's not a busy day, and you gotta stay at trap house the whole time because you don't know when someone might get the itch. And so they opened up another trap house, but this location was not as poppin' for some reason. They must have opened it in a bad neighborhood. Can you imagine? Can you imagine being all drugs, be like, I'm not going over there though, that's dangerous. And so even though they opened another location, and even though they tried to tell people, hey, you can come here or you can go over there, people liked the original trap house. It stayed just as busy as ever, with some business going on at the second location, but mostly it was here, right? And, okay. Let's just call him Jerry, all right? And Jerry ran both trap houses. And he did a pretty decent job, kept his books, kept his finances, really, like, he knew his inventory, He could have made a great store manager at any grocery store. There was this dude named Twan, and Twan found out about these very popular trap houses. Well, one popular, one not so popular, right? And he made a plan to rob the trap house, the main one, the lucrative one, right? So his plan for robbing the lucrative trap house was to basically set up a diversion at the one that wasn't as busy. So he basically faked a robbery at the one that was not as busy. He had some guys go over there, bang on the door, act like they had guns, they were about to break in, because he knew it would make everyone call Jerry. Jerry and his boys would go over there, By the time they get there, those guys have already left, and then the main trap house is left defenseless. They break in, Twan and them break in, they steal all this money out of the trap house, right? Take it back to their place. Now their place is a stash house. Stash house should be self-explanatory. If I've lost you at Stash House, I cannot help you. But the trap house has been robbed, everything's been taken back to the Stash House, okay? And then Twan and his boys thought they had made a killing. They were like, this is great. No one even knows that it was us, because they had planned it very well. They planned it all the way down to the detail of if those guys who did the fake robbery got caught, they wouldn't even know who hired them, right? But Jerry's no fool. Jerry started asking around, and he could kind of tell that some of these guys were lying, some of these guys weren't lying. He traced everything back to Twan. And so he set up a plan to rob Twan's stash house. To go in there and not just get his stuff back, but take the rest of whatever was in there. And his plan wasn't as meticulous. He just sort of ran up in there with a lot of men and guns. Now what he did do is he waited. He learned the routine. He learned who would be there when. It took months. And then finally, he was like, we're gonna do it on Tuesday. They never paying attention on Tuesday. I'm gonna run up in there. There's only gonna be like 5 of them. If it's 15 of us, I don't think we'll meet a lot of resistance. It's not like it's their money, it's Twan's money. And so that's what they did. They broke up in there, went ahead, zip-tied everybody, and took everything, which took several trips. The people at the stash house did have to watch themselves be robbed for quite a while. I'm mad you over here. You're not gonna get away with this. Then you think they've left, they come back in the door. Left all this right here. And so then one of them, being new to the lifestyle, being a new, some would say prospect gang member, was so appalled at the theft that when he freed himself, lacking all presence of mind, called the police. This man called the police. It was like they ran up in there, they had guns and everything. They had a gun in my hands. He's telling all this to 911. They took everything. They took the weed. They took all the money. Took my favorite Glock. And, you know, some people were duct taped and everything, duct taped over the mouth, zip tied behind everything. So when, you know, as soon as he called 911, he started freeing everybody else. And as soon as he ripped that tape off, they're like, "What is wrong with you? We gotta get out of here now." And so then they all left. They all ran up out of there because the police, catching wind that there was a robbery of the stash house, made themselves available immediately. No, they got out in time not to get caught. They got out in time to see the police raiding the stash house from a few doors down. And that's the thing, is like people say, you know, crime doesn't pay, or like criminals are dumb or whatever, but there are some very smart people who, for whatever reason, enter a certain lifestyle, choose to stay there, or maybe it's all that they know. And if criminals were so dumb, they wouldn't be fascinated. We are fascinated by career criminals. We're fascinated by people who do things that aren't just illegal. They have the gall to try to pull something off that has so many different entry points to danger. Like, just in the past few days, the Louvre was robbed. And I have not been able to settle. This is amazing. Okay, so if you're not familiar with the Louvre or the Louvre or whatever, it's one of the most visited museums in the world, and people go there and then they act like they've been changed by art. And you ask them what they saw, they can't name anything or anybody. They were just like, "No, the Mona Lisa was there, looking unimpressed." Well, there were these robbers that broke in. And they broke in dressed as construction workers, right? They had actually rented this like powerlifting vehicle that had a ladder that would bring them up to the next level where they could cut in, because they brought tools to cut in through the window and enter that way. They didn't want to just come through the front. And it made sense that they were dressed as construction workers, as the Louvre is under construction. Permanently, I guess. It's always under. Why is Europe never finished?
Europe always, all of Europe, always, unless you're out in the country, there's always like, oh, we gonna fix this road. We've been working on it since 1822. But that's y'all's fault. Y'all keep changing the roads. We just, right when we finished the cobblestone, y'all were like, no, it's asphalt now. And so look, they break in, and they break in with these power tools. They had like an angle grinder and everything. And that's when the alarms were going off and stuff. And then they get in through this museum window. And the part of the museum that they're in is where these rare crown jewels are being held, right? They didn't bother with the Mona Lisa. There was a crowd, there's a line. You'd never make it out. People be like, no, I want to see. And people keep, they keep criticizing the security. They keep criticizing the people that were doing security. But those people did approach them. They were like, hey, you don't. you better not. Because what is museum security really supposed to do? Let's be honest. Let's be real. If you work security in any format, they should arm you with as much as it takes to protect what's supposedly valuable. Think about this. When you see someone working for like Brinks, right? And they bring a Brinks truck to do a deposit for a bank. Let's say a whole grocery store is like, hey, we got like $250,000 that we need to transport over to the bank to make our deposit. The bank is like, don't worry, we'll send somebody. They hire Brinks. Brinks comes over. They have a truck. And not just a truck, like a bulletproof truck. And then they get two people. They get two people to make sure nobody knocks you over the head when you're trying to grab the bags and put them in the truck. They get two people, and not just two people, two of the biggest people you've ever seen. Like two people that are so big that it's like, you are the gun, right? And then I think they give them a gun. They always hold in their pocket. Maybe they don't have a gun, but it looks like they have a gun. And they don't give them cuffs because they don't plan on taking any prisoners. And then they get in there, Brinks always handles a drop like they are being robbed. Like they always handle the drop the way a bank robber would handle the drop. Because I used to work at a grocery store, and Brinks would come in and they'd be like, so where is your safe, or where do you, hurry. And we'd be like, oh, it's over here. Okay, it's over here, all right. And then the one would get to work putting, the other one just watching us. I'm ringing people up. I'm putting more money in the till, and they were still like, but you might try anything. I don't know you. And then they would leave, and they'd leave all fast. And then they'd run into the truck, throw everything in the truck, and then they would always peel out a little bit, which made me uncomfortable. One time they came and did a pickup, and I was like, y'all sure that was Brinks? Because they were a little squirrely. But then for some reason, there are times where you're supposed to protect, or you're supposed to hold guard of something, and you're giving less and less resources as you do it. Like, you look at a Brinks security guard, and then you look at like a mall cop. They're like, you get one flashlight. I guess shine it in their eyes or something. If you hit somebody hard enough in the head with it, the glass will break. That's something. But nobody gets done dirtier. Nobody gets done dirtier than museum security. Museum security, not only do they give you nothing, no flashlight, they don't even give you a stapler to hit somebody with. They give you nothing. All they give you is a dress code. They're like, hey, just show up in all black, nobody will mess with you. You show up in a black shirt with a black suit jacket and some black pants and black shoes, people think you John Wick. They won't even approach any of the art. Because truly, what is a museum security guard supposed to do? I go to a lot of museums. I try to go to a museum in every city that I do a show, if I can, right? And I've been in these museums, beautiful art. And then you see, you get a little too close, and you see this thing go off, this like little, you don't even know where the alarm is, but like it'll just, that's the too close alarm. Because it's not like a real alarm, it's just annoying, and it's annoying, and it goes off until you back up. So if you're a pointer, I go to a lot of museums with pointers. Everyone I take to a museum love to point. It's like we all three again, and they're like, I like the flap. As soon as you hear, somebody works for the museum, comes over, black everything, with an attitude. Could you not? Ma'am, back up. They love that hair. Back up. Give it a little space. Let the art breathe. And you want to know who a museum security guard's arch nemesis is? Because it's not like a grown man. It's not a grown woman. It is any child. Any child will ruin their day. Because I don't know what it is about the frequency of the alarm, but if you're 4, you can't hear it. If you're 4, you're like, I was at this museum one time. This security guard was in a true predicament because this child was out here touching everything. He was touching it to the point that it sounded like their alarm was going off to the tune of Mary Had a Little Lamb. And finally, the security guard started like chasing his child around, and not like really chasing him, not like Dennis the Menace chasing him, but just like following them around, hoping to maybe this kid's gonna go back up to their parents or something and be like, can you please hold your child's hand or something, because they've been touching everything. Got applesauce on everything. Because as a security guard, what are you gonna do? You can't grab this kid. You can't actually grab this. I know that sounds crazy to anybody who was born in any era before now. You have to kind of let this kid put applesauce on all the art, because if you touch this kid, you've committed murder. So if you snatch this kid and even hold their hand so you can find their parent, you are basically killing them. So you have to like let them kind of do it, but then follow them around, but then not touch them, but then make sure they don't touch anything. It would look terrible. And so finally, this security guard just started running interference on every item. This child was walking up, getting ready to touch a sculpture. Security guard get in there. No. Just trying to box him out of every room. And then finally, this kid, realized what was going on. Felt like it was a game. So this kid is like, oh, you want to play? I love to play. Playing's my favorite thing. Playing's basically my job. And so he running interference. There's a painting. And finally, this kid gets boxed in. And even the security guard's like, I don't know what to do now. Because like, this would be when you would like snatch their hand and be like, hey, is your child not with you in the museum? I might have them. But he was like, doesn't want to touch his kid, but doesn't want the kid to touch anything else, but then is in the corner, but then is also a grown man cornering a child in a corner. Just because you're at work doesn't make it look better. All this kid has to yell is stop, and you going straight to jail. I'm your only witness, and I'm not really here right now. And so his kid boxed into the corner, and you can see the kid's having fun. The kid's over here. Nowhere to go but under. This kid slipped under his legs and ran away. This man turned around. Started chasing after this kid even more, and then the kid went to the only room he hadn't got applesauce on. And was next to this painting. I don't really remember who painted this, but it was a huge, huge painting of a ship in a storm. And it was one of those that was like, it was a marvel because of its scale. You know, so it's not like one that you just hang up and 6x8, whatever. This thing was huge. It took up almost the entire wall, which meant he could definitely reach it. This kid walked up to the painting, and now the whole thing is a game. Touching the stuff's a game, trying not to get caught is a game. This kid's having fun. He thought museums were boring. He's having the time of his life. This kid standing next to the painting. And admittedly, I was also running after them so I could keep watching. I didn't try to help him at all, but I was like, I gotta see the rest of this. Like, what you gonna do? This man gonna run out of breath soon. Security guard gets in the room, huffing and puffing. And he just goes, even the kid for a second was like, ooh, are you? I might have killed a grandpa. I don't even know. And then this kid goes in his pocket and lifts an applesauce covered finger. And I was like, it's been in his pocket the whole time. Children are disgusting. This kid been running around with a pocket full of applesauce this entire museum trip. And then Unc running security goes, don't. This kid, no words, no emotion in his eyes. You can tell he gonna grow up to be a bad person. This kid, applesauce covered finger just went, and so if a security guard is defenseless against a child, what do you expect them to do against actual robbers with angle rods that they just used to break into the second floor window? Because the security ran up on them, no, hey, get out of here, none of that. And then they went, security was like, you know what, let us help you. Everybody out. Everybody out. Everybody get out now. Security made everybody get out but them. Don't you see these men working? Get out. They over here on time crunch. And you over here, ooh, look at the jewels. Get out. In fact, there was a news report that cracked me up. I laughed so hard because the security report, there was this person who, I don't think they were like head of security for the Louvre or anything, but they were basically like, it is museum security's number one job to make sure the people are safe, and that's what they did. They made sure the people were safe. I was like, you are changing the narrative right now, because anytime I got too close to a painting and I heard the and then I had somebody come over, it didn't seem like it was for my protection. You know what I mean? It wasn't like they were running up, hey, that one, that painting, that wakes up. Don't get close. Please. And so then, robbers start grabbing everything, grabbing these like Napoleon era empire crown jewels, right? They grabbed so much, they grabbed too much. They actually grabbed so much they dropped one. They dropped one of the crowns outside. And this is gonna sound dumb. This will sound dumb, so bear with me, because I know it's gonna sound dumb, but I don't think it's dumb, all right? I thought, truly, Even when I went to museums, for as many museums as I go to, I've been to museums in Europe, I go to museums here, I like go to every museum that I can. I thought for certain that when you see something in a museum, that under certain circumstances is a replica. I can tell by your reaction that some of y'all think I'm dumb and some of y'all think what I thought. I'm telling you right now, when I would go to the museum, I would admire the brushstrokes, I'd admire everything, but I would be like, this is the fake one though. Like this has to be the fake one. And I thought that because if you remember, right before 2020 and even after the pandemic, you would have activists that would go to museums. These, climate activists would go to museums and they just throw like tomato soup on supposedly priceless paintings, right? They would go up to like a Van Gogh and be like, blah, and then they glue themselves to the wall or something, and then they would be like, this is why we did this, and you will have to listen to me for as long as it takes to unsuperglue my hand from the wall. Because people who are climate activists feel like no one is listening to the point where the only thing that will get any attention or like stop people for a second to listen to them is just extreme acts that knock you out of whack. You know what I mean? Just things that you go, what? What? They did what? Why did they do that? And then they get to explain. It's like the better version of canvassing, because they tried to canvass. They really did. Everyone that cares about the climate tried to canvass, and what did you do? You walk by them. They were like, do you have a minute for the planet? And you're like, I'm headed to work, please. I was with a friend one time, and look, I've stopped plenty of times. I can't stop every time. And so they were like, do you have a minute for the planet? And then my buddy was like, nah, we're good, and kept walking, have a good day. And this dude got really bad. This dude canvassing was like, you on the planet? You don't have a minute for the planet you on? But that was happening a decent amount. There were these supposedly priceless paintings. They were getting vandalized, people throwing Campbell's soup on them and everything. So then I was like, surely a museum would not allow Campbell's soup to get thrown on the real one, like the regular one, because the museum was always super chill about it. The museum, they would like throw tomato soup on a Van Gogh and the museum would be like, stuff happens, we gonna get it off. You gonna what? You gonna get it off? Because when I got close, when I tried to smell the painting, I heard, and then you came over, no smelling. It was get it off, no big deal. Or you would see things like you would see, I don't know about you, but the tomato soup that I eat got a little oil to it, and you throw it on oil painting, it seems like it might leave a stain. I have no idea. But then you would see the museum come out and be like, no permanent damage was done to the artwork. And I'm like, how? I've dropped suits that were clear on my hoodie before it had the stain forever. How's this 200-year-old acrylic painting fine? It must be a fake. I used to think that, look, if you go to a museum and you see just like you could touch it, that one can't be real. But if you go to a museum and it's behind glass, that's the real one, because they bothered to protect it. Why are you just bothering to protect some pieces? That doesn't make sense to me. So then, in my head, I was like, those aren't the jewels. You know what I mean? That's just colored glass. These people so stupid, they ran up in there and risked their freedom for some colored glass. And then the French government came out and said, priceless items have been stolen from the Louvre. And I was like, that's the real jewel! Y'all didn't run any armed security around the real crown jewels? For a split second, I felt like it was my money. I was like, what are y'all doing? Ooh, I need to sit down. You said it was priceless. And then right after saying it was priceless, they were like, it's about $100 million. I was like, oh, seems like a price. You said priceless for a day and a half, and then immediately y'all were like, I think 103 probably. at least round up to 1/10. And then, in my opinion, museum handled it wrong. You know, they were over here freaking out. Everybody, the French government, they got everybody on it. They got like their version of the FBI. They have the local police. They have everybody on it. They plastered all the jewels that were missing all over international news and everything. If I was trying to save face, let's say I was head of museum security, I was trying to save face, I would come out to the public immediately after the robbery and be like, y'all, that was Banksy. Y'all know Banksy played too much. But this is where I wish that they had done a better job of being creative, being inventive, you know? You've just been robbed, one of the boldest robberies that we've seen. And you are the most visited museum in the world. Why don't you just see this as a W? You know what I mean? Instead of freaking out and shutting down the whole wing and staying closed for a day, all you gotta do is put that tape around the crime scene and make that an exhibit. We all wanna see it. Bring people in. Make the security guards that did do their job, the tour guides, just be like, it was 4 of them. They ran up in here. I was like, hey, get out of here. And they were like, ving, ving, ving. I was like, you right. All right, I'm gonna go. But I'm telling everybody, and that's why I'm telling you now. And yeah, you can see the glass right here. Take a piece of glass home. You can take a piece of glass home if you want. The jewels used to be right there. That's crazy, right? Jewels used to be just like, and the light used to hit it like that, but then they brought the grinder and they would, so. But they were real the ones. That's why I'm doing this now, or else I'd be fired. Oh, it sucks. It does. It sucks because, like, it's just gonna turn museum security into TSA. Yeah, I mean, because look, this was, as far as museum security goes, this was their 9/11. So if you think you're just gonna roll up in there and have a good time, that's not what's gonna happen. You're gonna show up and they're gonna be like, all right, shoes off. They all gonna have the wand now. Oh, brutal stuff. You're gonna walk into your local museum. You're not even in France. But there's gonna be that security guard, takes his job extra serious, and be like, you're not gonna get me, not today. Pants down, pants down. No, I got a check. You could have anything in there. You could have an angle grinder in your pants or something. You know, we have some very expensive cups here. I love a tour guide at a museum because then they'll tell you how expensive something is. And at least with the pottery, maybe this is me not being cultured, but some of the pottery that's in museums, and then they'll tell the story of how the pottery got to the museum, and then they'll be like, you know, this is worth easily $100,000. And I'll be like, nah, it's not. It's not. Like, it isn't. Like, it is not. As much as it is here, it is not worth that. Like the function of is, like it is here, like it exists, like it is. It is here. And it is not worth that. And you know how it's not? I know it's not worth that. I know it's not worth that. Because you had to tell me how much it was, because I thought it was worth nothing. I thought y'all dug it up and brought it here because y'all were like, this was just in the ground. Isn't that interesting? I bet you people aren't leaning over the register at the gift shop being like, how much was that clay cup? I only have 50,000 on me. Dang. I would have loved that clay cup that looked like a caveman did it. Because I need to be clear here. I'm not just trying to be rude. The one that I'm talking about, it wasn't like some beautiful African art. It wasn't like a Greek pot or something that was painted with a story on it. It just looked lumpy. It just looked lumpy to the point where I was like, even when they drank out of this, there's no way they got the water on a consistent basis. You could tell it's primitive because it looked like a cup that gulps. Looked like it pours when it wants to. Lip of it all uneven and everything. This is $100,000. I'm like, all right. You sure you didn't look at it too fast and add 2 extra zeros? Because I don't think so. There was a guy. There was a really rich guy, apparently. I don't know. I don't know him, but everybody was saying how rich he was. And he got on the Instagram to actually physically cry about the crown jewels being stolen. And he gave this whole speech about how, like, the robbers, because there's this assumption that the robbers aren't gonna be able to just sell the jewels they stole as is. There are plenty of people in the world that would pay the money it would take to sell them just as is, and maybe they just keep it and only they know they have it. But art collectors usually like to show off their collection, and so they can't tell anybody. So it's better just go ahead and maybe melt it down, sell the jewels. The jewels themselves are still very expensive. In fact, you'll see where throughout history pieces have been stolen. Mona Lisa was stolen before. Pieces sometimes get stolen, but unless you can sell it to someone, what's it really worth? And so there's speculation that already these jewels have been melted down and being sold for parts, or maybe pieces are being sold that might not be able to be traced back to the complete set. And this guy got on social and he was just crying. Dude had to be in his like 50s, something like that, and he was like, it was that crying where, okay, you know, it was like the crying you do when you're little, but you let yourself do it again when you get grown if something gets to you enough. Which is crazy, because he went online to cry, but then was fighting the crying. But he's fighting the crying to camera. But then just don't turn the camera on yet. Like, if you, like, let it out real quick and then do your video. You doing the video, like, no one putting the video in your face right now. You doing the video and you, wait, just wait. No one asked for this video. You could wait a day. You could wait till you're over it, or you could just not do it. But this dude got, some people just cry like they choking, and it's just. And then he said a bunch of stuff, and he did say it in French, and I don't speak French, so I'm gonna paraphrase from what everybody said he was saying. But I know he said some of this because a lot of people said he said it, and then I know there's some of it that might be like editorialized on what he said, because I don't know if he said that because I don't speak any French. But and then also he didn't even say what he said in French well, because he was crying through the whole thing. Like. And look, to be fair, maybe some of that was crying and maybe a little bit of that was the accent. Maybe some of that was the accent, because there are certain people that when they speak French, they do seem upset for no reason. So then that's, it's like, was that a cry or was that one? Were you saying one just now? Were you like, or is that you trying to hold it together? Because that's why you should have waited to make the video. That's a cry. That was not French. That one. And what this dude basically said was that you didn't just steal from the Louvre. You stole from the French people. You stole a piece of our heritage. You stole a piece of our history. And if you melt that down, if you repurpose that, if you sell that, you will burn in hell because you have stolen from the people. And I'm sure, I'm almost positive, I don't know everyone who's seen the video, I just know that I saw it, but I'm sure if you saw that video and you were from Africa or Brazil or just anywhere, I'm sure you watched it and you were like, oh no. Someone stole a piece of your heritage? What are you gonna do? Someone in Sri Lanka is like, not France. No. What are you gonna do? And look, I can understand if you are from some of those other countries, if you're from like an African country or something like that, if you're from Haiti and you see this thing, that you might be like, oh no, not the Louvre. They have our stuff too. Did they steal our stuff? Now it's gonna be harder to find, because that's also what was there. So now, oh no. Someone stole it, you know? I just love the story so much. I love the robbers. Cause look, because they even showed up. They weren't just dressed in a construction outfit. They had on the, you know what I mean, the thing, mask and top and bottom. You know, they were wearing the baklava. I love this crime so much because it feels a lot like somebody that runs a trap house robbing a stash house, and then the person from the stash house is like, we gotta call the police. I can't believe somebody would steal from us. This is unacceptable behavior. We stole all this stuff fair and square. This was ours. And then they took it from us in an act of injustice. Stanford, y'all have been amazing. Thank you so much. I appreciate y'all. I hope you have a phenomenal time.
Mira.